Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Samcrac. This is the Porsche 911 rebuild project, and we're already jumping in with a little bit of minor disassembly. We've got the car off the ground, all four wheels and tires off, and also all the fender liners. If you guys have been following along, you know this car came with some strange superficial damage, like the cracked front bumper, the leaky front radiators, and also that dent on the underside of the front trunk. Now, in the rear of the car, the rear bumper has a little dent, and also the lower passenger quarter has a dent in it as well. So the damage isn't concentrated really in one area, which is making me really want to see what the underside of this car looks like. So let me grab the mobile camera, let's get underneath, and let's make sure there's nothing grossly wrong with this car before we start dumping some money into it. So I just want to show you some of the main stuff. Let's start where the engine connects to the transmission right here. A lot of people are worried about a rear main seal leak or IMS, stuff like that. There are no oil leaks at all, and even coming over here towards the engine, there's nothing dripping, nothing funny. The only thing I can see is right here, that looks like a little bit of wet grime. I did wash this car before I brought it in here, so everything there looks good. There's our oil filter housing. Here's our oil pan right here. Nothing dented, nothing damaged. Now the first thing that I thought might be damaged right here, this bar that runs from here all the way down that way, in that corner over there, that's where our main quarter panel, lower quarter panel damage is. That bar is straight as could be. I don't see any issue with it at all. As is our cross member that is right here. Nothing damaged, nothing dented, which is what we want to see for a car that looks like it might have had some undercarriage damage. All right, hold on one quick second. I was in the middle of editing this video, and I noticed that I not only said, but I did something wrong. That area that was wet underneath the car, I said it must just be wet because I washed the car. And that is true. I did wash the car. I even sprayed the hose a little bit in the engine bay, but clearly that is some sort of fluid. So I went ahead, got a white paper towel, and this is what came off of that area. This looks like burnt engine oil to me, so I believe we have an oil leak. Now the good news is that oil leak is nowhere near the rear main seal, and that'd be really difficult to repair on jack stands. So that's really good. I do believe we probably have a leaky valve cover, or we have a leaky spark plug tube. That seems to be something common that fails on these cars. Now that I've addressed that, let's go right back where we were at. There's just this one other area that looks like it might have suffered some undercarriage damage. Right here, there's a pretty shallow indentation. The reason I'm guessing that this was pushed up a little bit is over on the opposite side, it's not symmetrical. Even though this circle is there, a lot of the same indentations that are here from the factory, like this valley right here. But otherwise, I wouldn't see any reason why we'd have to do anything or repair this. This isn't affecting anything. There's nothing really steep here, anything that I think would be pushing up and causing any issue. So I'm going to leave this be. Right here's that lower rocker damage I was just talking about. It's pretty unsightly, but it's something we definitely should be able to fix. And it's something that really didn't extend past what we see right here. Because if we come to this corner suspension, this is the corner that I was most concerned about. We can see, first of all, up top, all of our upper control arms, everything looks great. There's a lot of different links and arms and braces on this car, but if we come underneath here, it's gonna be tough for you guys to see. But here's our major lower control arm. These are the first things to bend, snap, break. I've seen a little bit of everything. It's in excellent condition overall. Even this brake caliper is in really good condition. Can't say the same about all the other ones. We're gonna end up taking all four of these off and painting them a special color. Special color means you guys get to pick. Now, I'm a big fan of red brake calipers on Porsches. We all know that the coolest Porsches have red brake calipers. However, maybe you think that something else is more fitting with this blue paint. Maybe you think yellow, maybe you think black, gloss black, or maybe you think silver. Let me know in the comment section below what color you like for these brake calipers. Along with refinishing the brake calipers, they're gonna get brand new brakes all around. These brakes are just completely tired looking. All the rotors are nice and rusty. Now on the front end, I was also kind of concerned about the suspension, but as you guys can see again, nothing really damaged past what we saw. That dent in the front trunk there, even all the plastic liners underneath here are in perfect shape. Now the fender liners themselves, I might end up replacing them, or I might end up repairing them. They're in overall pretty good condition, a few little tears here and there, and since they're parts for a Porsche, they're fairly expensive, about a couple $100 a piece, third party. So priority number one in all four corners is to get brand new brakes all around. Possibly I'm considering the idea of upgrading the suspension. Now if we come over here, we can talk really quick about the body. Here is the rear bumper that you guys saw me take off. This is the good half of the rear bumper. The other half is the side with that nice dent in it. The best part about this rear bumper is that there are no cracks in it whatsoever, which means that we should have a pretty easy time completely refinishing it. My plan is to heat this corner up here a little bit with a heat gun, push this out. It'll be really simple. We could do it with our hands, and then we're gonna sand it, primer it, paint it, refinish it completely. It'll be like brand new when we put it on. And what you're seeing here on the ground is the front bumper replacement that I ordered. If you remember in the first video, I said I wanted a different look front bumper. This is a GT2 style front bumper. But I also said I hate aftermarket body panels. So like one thing you might be able to notice with this, it flexes around. This is a factory Porsche body panel. This is not. And you can see when I try and flex this, there's no flex to it whatsoever. It's completely made out of fiberglass. When I saw that, I had a lot of doubts that it would fit correct. And I haven't tried it on yet, but we're gonna attempt to test fit this right now and see if it will fit. If it fits, well, great. It costs a lot less than an OE panel. This was about 500 bucks, and we'll be able to prep it and paint it really easily because there's no damage to it. So let's go ahead and test fit it right now. At this point, I got the bumper set exactly where it should be sitting, and the gap between the hood and the bumper itself looks pretty darn good, considering that right here the hood is popped up a little bit. I didn't have it latched completely all the way down. But as you're about to see, when we try and level this thing out, there's one major flaw, and that is it doesn't seem the right proportion. First of all, it seems too wide. There's a huge gap left on either side between the fender and the bumper. It looks completely off. Right now, as it's sitting on the car, sitting in the right place it should be, it is touching the front crash bar. So when you try and perfectly level it out on both sides using two people, it just doesn't work. The bumper pops forward off the car, and then nothing sits right, period. That would mean that I'd have to modify this bumper one way or another to fit, and in my opinion, it's just completely not worth it. After already spending the $500 on the bumper alone, to then start to hack apart the front bumper, modify my existing body parts because there's no mounting holes or anywhere on this bumper here, it just would be a huge hassle, and it's just not worth it, especially since this bumper is pretty low quality. It's not made out of that flexible plastic material. If you were to bump into anything at a low speed in a parking lot with this bumper, it would completely just smack a hole right through it or crack it, unlike flexible bumpers of today where they're pretty resilient and you get a few scratches here and there, but it wouldn't completely destroy it in one small bump. Now going back to it touching the crash bar, the second you try and fit the corners up to either fender, well, it just pops right off the front, pushes forward, and again, the fitment of this thing is all over the place. I have no clue how they are selling this as a direct fit bumper to a 996 Carrera or a Boxster. It boggles my mind. I gotta be completely fair. I didn't see this disclaimer when I ordered the bumper. However, I did see a lot of companies offering fitment guarantees with this bumper, stating that if you can prove to us it doesn't fit right, we'll refund your money. But that's probably where they rely heavily on this disclaimer. And it says, please note that certain aftermarket bumpers will require the front and or rear safety crash bars to be removed or modified. Now, modifying or removing your front crash bar is insane. This is the thing that takes a ton of impact in a front end collision. There's no way I drive around with one of these completely missing off my car, even a modified version. Another thing that I bought for this car that you might have noticed while I was working on it, these are Turbo Twist wheels. Now, I think that these wheels have a really nice classic look on this car. The problem is, these are Turbo Twist wheels. The word turbo implies they came off of a car with a wide body. Now, there's a good and a bad thing about these wheels. These were actually sold to me as originals. They are not. They are replicas. So since they are replicas, maybe they were made to go on a narrow body car like mine. And I don't know, but after doing a lot of research, these Porsche wheels have such funky offsets that I'm doubtful that these will end up fitting. This is a staggered set. This car had a staggered set of wheels on it. If you remember, this is what they were over here. These look like base Cayman wheels to me. A lot of you guys commented that they were, and obviously they just need to be replaced. Number one, they don't match the car. Number two, that one has a huge chunk taken out of it. So really quick, let's throw these two wheels on and see if they fit. All right, so the fronts, they actually look pretty decent. See, they clear the brakes just fine, and they don't stick out a lot. They stick out like a perfect amount. So there's the edge of the fender, there's the wheel. Those would probably work just fine. But as I suspected, our rears are gonna be our issue here. First off, take a look at where the brake is sitting. I mean, I can reach my hand in here and look, that's how much of a distance there is between the brake and the wheel. So that looks wrong, and they don't stick out too much. They do stick out definitely a little bit from the fender area here. I'd assume this might actually work, but it looks completely wrong. So I'm gonna scrap the idea of using these, and we're gonna look for a real set of 911 wheels with the correct offsets for a narrow body. Really quickly, I wanna touch on something that you guys discovered and let me know about in the comment section about the last video on the Porsche 911. Something I completely didn't even notice, but was pretty apparent to you guys. The speedometer was in kilometers per hour. You can see right here. And I did want to point out one other quick thing. A lot of people said, well, geez, it's in kilometers, which means you only got 103,000 kilometers. That's amazing. Well, unfortunately, this is 103,000 miles. You can see right here, it says miles per hour. So even though we've got an analog kilometers per hour speedometer, you can actually change using this button right up here. The gauges, whether you want to go in miles or kilometers per hour. So 103,000 miles is indeed correct, but we can see from down here, now here's our Canadian sticker. This Porsche was originally from Canada. I love it when you guys discover stuff that I don't even notice on these cars or just in general on these videos. One time somebody noticed in the door jamb, I think it was on the pizza car, that there was a wasp nest in there. There was a wasp nest in there, and my camera just happened to grab it. There were like 1 or 2 comments, just great stuff. So keep up those amazing comments. Now, even though we weren't successful fitting either the wheels or that bumper, it's not a big problem. Bumpers, wheels, it's easy stuff to source, as is most parts on this car. This is a pretty common 911. So I'm very optimistic I'll be able to go get some other parts lined up. Most of the other repair parts are coming in today or tomorrow. So we're gonna jump right to it and get this car working probably fairly quick. Now, I originally told you guys we had a $10,000 budget on this 911. If you saw my prior video, you know that I spent $4,250 on it, plus some fees here and there. Let's say that I'm in this car about $5,000, give or take a few hundred. As it sits right now, I think the parts that we need will only cost right around a few $1,000. That means we should come in substantially less than goal this time. So if you are as excited as I am for a super cheap Porsche 911, be sure to hit that like button. Also, if you're not already following me on Instagram, you can just go right here or click the link in the description box below. There I'll be posting a lot of pictures from the 911 build before anything goes live here on YouTube. Guys, thank you so much for watching today, and I will catch you very soon.